Hi, I'm Stephanie Earp. Welcome to episode 8 of Fast and Loose, my knitting podcast. Let's see, what am I going to talk about today? I'm going to talk about my featured design is going to be Sweet Vicious, which is actually a pattern I released last year. But I had it at an event recently, and someone mentioned that they hadn't seen me really go into this pattern on the podcast. I think I did like a little mini episode about it when I released it, with a promise to get back to it in more detail. So I'm making good on that promise today. I'll be talking about that. And I think it's also a great opportunity to talk about fit versus ease, which is, I think, part of the conversation right now around size ranges and how to pick a size to knit. So I'm going to start talking about it regarding Sweet Vicious, but then I'm going to talk about it more generally as well. And I'm going to show you some stuff that I'm working on and some other patterns that I've recently released. So yeah, let's get into it. So, actually, you know what? I'll tell you what I'm wearing first, because I'm digging this outfit. You'd never know that it's like mid-June here in Montreal. We're having a really weird spring summer that's like every day the temperature changes by like 8 degrees. So it's like 30 degrees one day, 21 degrees the next. So I'm actually wearing a wool sweater today. This is Stray Light, which is a pattern of mine that I knit in La Bien-Aimée merino singles in 3 different colors. It's got lots of fancy stitches. It's cropped. I'm wearing some mom jeans. Anyway, it's perfect for this kind of 21, 22 degree day that's a little bit overcast. But getting back to my main pattern, the one I'm talking about today is Sweet Vicious. The story behind that name is that there was this amazing television show that ran for 1 season on MTV called Sweet Vicious, which is about like a vigilante justice against campus rape. It was awesome. Like if you liked Buffy, this would be totally up your alley. And it sort of came from the idea that I have this one version of the sample that's kind of very sweet looking, very pretty, and then I have another version that's a little bit more punk rock. So it looks sort of like angel on one shoulder, devil on the other, that idea. So Sweet Vicious is knit from the bottom up, and it's very much like a very simple t-shirt style. And the reason I kept the silhouette so simple is because the stitch pattern is quite complicated. It uses like a fuzzy mohair lace, a kid mohair sort of style thing as a sort of a background. And then there's a single ply fingering, or any fingering weight yarn you want to use, as sort of more of a decorative element happening on top of it. And it's not easy to work. I mean, it's not hard to work. If you've done stranded knitting, I think it's pretty easy, because you're holding 2 yarns every round and holding sort of one to the front while you work with the other, and then moving it to the back to knit them both together to create sort of long floats across your rounds. And then at a certain interval, you knit and sort of pick those rounds up to create this chevron sort of shape that happens here. So it's very ornate, sort of Baroque, very textural. It definitely looks hard, and I think I've said before how much I love it when my knits look difficult. It pleases me when people are like, holy shit, how the hell did you make that? I like that. So yeah, it's got a little bit of an increase in the underarm to create some shaping into the bust, and it has like a self-edging I-cord sort of style thing that I admittedly totally stole from Mona Schmidt, a designer that I work with at Espace Tricot. This was in her double take tee, and it's so brilliant to not have to come back and pick up an edge on the sleeve. I was like, okay, I have to do that. And then when you come to the top, it's actually, this is a cowl, so I'll take that off. It's quite a scoop neckline, and you pick up all the way around and do an I-cord, applied I-cord, and same at the bottom in the hem. So this is actually, I think this is the second or third size. I have it on my Ravelry. But so this size was a little bit big for me, in the sense that like it's with more ease maybe than I intended the pattern to be worn. But I love wearing this sort of more as a tunic-y sort of style. I'll wear it with leggings or with very baggy jeans, because the hem definitely comes down below my butt, and it's got this sort of loose feel to it. But that is really a choice that I can make about the fit. The arm side, which is here, the arm side refers to sort of the depth of the whole of the arm, here is a little bit big for me. So for example, if I was just wearing a bra under it, you would sort of see the edge of my bra. Because this is quite sheer, I tend to wear a camisole under it so it doesn't bother me. But I'm going to turn this so you can really see the depth of the side. So now I'm going to change Jacqueline into my other sample, which is probably more my size. So you can see right away that the way that this fits across the bust, it's much tighter. It's got a lot less ease, is what we would call that. And the arm size is not as deep. So that the way that this fits me, you can't see my bra line when I wear this. It doesn't hang down. And then you can see in the front here to this obviously much more cropped silhouette. But you can see the way that, like, where this arm shaping is that I mentioned, that where there is an increase, you're not seeing it kind of pull out because this mannequin is approximately the right size for me. She's a little bit smaller than me, but not by much. So, you know, the nice thing is being able to put stuff on this mannequin and get a good sense of how it's going to fit me. So yeah, what's interesting is I absolutely wear both of these sizes. I'll wear both of these samples. I style them differently. But as far as the ease recommendation in this pattern, you have choice as the knitter. You can say, I do want to make it in a form-fitting way and I want to wear it like this, or I want to have it wear, you know, with some ease and wear it much looser. So this gives me sort of a great jumping off point to talk about what is ease, and you'll see that mentioned a lot in terms of knitting and sewing patterns as well, versus what is fit. So I mentioned the arm side, right? When I look at this size in the pattern and I look at all the measurements on the schematic, what the bust is, what the, you know, sort of what the cross back is, any of that information, waist, those are places where you would have ease, or the bust and the waist. Whereas the arm side really is not a place where a designer is going to add ease, strictly speaking. If it's a traditional fit garment, if you're looking at something where there's a real play with volume, a really unusual proportion or shape, then it's possible that the arm side depth and things like this will play into how it's supposed to fit you. But really, arm side is something that it's not something you want to be changing. So let's say I go back and I want to make this larger sample for myself again, this larger size. Knowing that arm side hangs out on me a little bit, right? One of the things I can do is say, yeah, I like the ease in the bust, but I'm going to select the arm side depth from the size that's closer to my actual measurements. So I'm adjusting the ease, but I'm still making something that fits. Does that make sense? Am I making this clear? I guess the key thing is that when the designer adds ease or recommends ease, they're telling you sort of how loosely they want it to fit around you, but your measurements in terms of lengths should sort of stay the same. So let's say, let me put it this way. If I'm designing something to fit with 4 inches of ease for a 34-inch bust, it's going to have a 38-inch bust, but the arm side depth will match the sort of depth and measurements of someone who has a 34-inch bust, as much as we're all the same. So that's where, when you're looking to choose a size for a pattern, and there's a recommended ease on it, that's really just a recommendation. It's a styling issue. If you think that you would like to wear that garment much more close-fitting or much larger, much more oversized, that's totally up to you. So, you know, for example, I think of a student of mine who tends to mostly knits the largest or second largest size of most patterns that we work with. And so we might be working with something that recommends 5 inches of ease, but if we did it that way, the size wouldn't be there for her. So we could either do some recalculations, which we do sometimes, and readjust the cast on and the number of stitches to make it fit. But a lot of time we just take the ease out because it also tends to look better. I mean, again, I'm really someone who says, like, wear what you want and don't let anyone tell you how your clothes should look on you. But generally, 10 inches of ease on a 56-inch bust doesn't work the same way 10 inches of ease works on a 35-inch bust. It's just a very different look. So most of the time, by adjusting the recommended ease, by styling the sweater differently or the garment differently, we're able to find a size that will fit her really well without having to make any major adjustments. But when we do that, we always look at things like these arm side depth the length of the sleeve, the length from the arm side down to the hem, and make sure those actually accord with her measurements and how she likes to wear her stuff. Because if you're starting to move away from the recommended ease, those measurements can start to change too. So I'm actually going to show you some examples of the difference between ease and fit with a couple of garments that I own. So stay tuned. I'm going to do a quick change. Okay, here we are. I am wearing a t-shirt that is too small for me. So I bought this on the internet from a company I wasn't familiar with, because how could I not? Check it out. It's Gem in the Holograms as Queen, right? And most of the time I take a size small in a basic t-shirt, so that's what I ordered. And when I got it, I realized right away that it doesn't really fit me. So here are the places it does fit. It is too tight across the bust. So it's, I would say, negative ease, and it can even sometimes look like it's starting to pull across the bust. This is exacerbated by the fact that the arm side is not deep enough. So it's sitting like right up under my arms here. On top of that, the cross back measurement, which is sort of the measurement from like the ball of your shoulder joint across, is too short by about 1 inch. So on each side, the seam where my set-in sleeve is sewn in is about 1/2 inch back from where I'd really like it, which is what's part of what's making the sleeve do this angle, right? So this is an example of something that, this is not negative ease, this is too small. I wear it anyway because it's awesome, and I actually thought the other day when I put it on, I was like, I should cut this. What I'm gonna do is actually turn it into like a sleeveless tank, basically cut out where the arm side is and then add some depth down here and wear it as like more of a tank, and I'll actually wear it if I do that. But before I did that, I wanted to show you guys what I mean about the difference between something that's too small and something that has negative ease. Okay, next example. Okay, now I'm in a basic wool sweater. It's a ratty old wool sweater that's actually was my husband's, but it doesn't really fit him. It's too small for him, but frankly, it's too big for me. And here's a few places where you can see that. For one thing, check out this sleeve length. That is a classic example of something that is too big for you. If the sleeves are coming down to your fingertips, it's too big. Another place I can really see it is in the fabric here. Right, so because it's a raglan, it's pretty flexible here, but like when you see all this extra stuff up here, that's not an oversized fit, that's not ease, that's like doesn't fit me. Now, I don't usually wear this out very much. I mostly wear it around the house. It's super cozy, and there's certainly nothing wrong with wearing this or my Gem in the Hologram shirt. If you want to wear a super tight shirt, again, like styling is totally up to the wearer. But I thought these were both really good examples of showing you something that's, these don't fit me. I wear them anyway, but they don't fit. One more item. Okay. So this is a sweatshirt that I found in a thrift store when I was in Los Angeles, and in fact the labels had been cut out of it. It was maybe a designer sample or something like that, because often when you find things where all the labels have been removed, it's that reason. It was like a sample or something like that. So I'm not sure exactly what size this was intended to fit, but I would say it's probably about right for me. It's a little bit big, and I'll tell you how I can tell. See this seam right here? Again, it's sort of a modified raglan, but this seam is sitting just a little bit, but almost exactly where my shoulders actually join up to my body. So that's a good sign that it's just about the right size for me. Also, the sleeves. The sleeves are the right length. A little long, coming down here, but nothing like the sweater of Owen's that I showed you earlier. But this is quite a large garment. It's just got this really pretty detail at the back where it opens up. It's sewn in here. It's really cool. I don't know if I'm showing it off to the best advantage, but it's obviously a very oversized, loose-fitting garment. I mean, the ease in here, when we were talking about 10 inches of ease, this might even be 20 compared to my actual size. And certainly when I'm wearing it, I think I look sort of caftany and floaty and very relaxed, and that's how I feel. I love wearing it when I'm traveling because I feel like it's really comfortable. But it doesn't look too big for me. It looks like it's the right size for me. So that's the difference to me between sort of ease and fit. This is a garment designed to have a lot of ease, but designed to fit someone about my size, versus Owen's sweater, which is designed for a man somewhere between the two of our sizes, but not designed for my shape and size. And the same thing with that Gem and the Holograms t-shirt. It is designed for someone smaller than me. So I don't know if that's super helpful, especially because these are all store-bought garments, but I think often we forget all the things we know about when we go shopping, when we try to apply them back to how we knit. You know, when you go into a store, especially, I don't know if there's Winners is like this, you know, sort of seconds and bargain shop. It's new clothes, but it's stuff that comes from other chains and whatever, and it's all marked down. So the thing about Winners is that there might be only one or two of any individual item in the store, and you might not always be able to find your size. But when I shop at Winners, I don't even think about the size. I just go through the racks and I pick up anything I like and I go try it all on. And sometimes I walk out with a large, sometimes I walk out with an extra small. It's, you know, size is for you to choose what you want to wear. It's how you want to wear it. No one gets to tell you, oh no, you're not allowed to try on that extra large or that extra small. If you want to try it on, you can try it on and you decide for yourself. And I think we all know that, right? We also know that, like, oh, at the Gap, I like to wear a medium, but over here, I like to wear a large. We know these things about how things fit us and how we like to wear them. And we can apply all of that information when we decide what size to knit of any given pattern. And I know I've said it before, but I'll say it again. If you have things in your wardrobe that you love and you love how they fit you, to get out your measuring tape and measure them and figure out what is that arm size, what is the bust, what is the waist, what is the length. And you know, you can jot that in a notebook, maybe you have a knitting journal or something, put it in there, and the next time you're considering a pattern, look at the schematic and see how many of those measurements might add up for you to something that you already know you like the fit of. So yeah, I'm gonna change back into my regular clothes and come finish the podcast. Okay, I'm back. I'm wearing my Stray Light again. I'm happy. Let's see, I'm not gonna do an old knit this time because I've talked about this fairly recently and I can't possibly call this old when it's not even a year old. But I am going to do a couple of like sort of new releases that I'm not going to dive into as much as I did the Sweet Vicious, so I can repeat this cycle over and over again where someone says, you never talked about it, and I can do a whole episode. Anyway, since the last time I podcasted, I've had two patterns come out. Most recently was this guy who's right next to me called Monarri, and it's definitely a summer t-shirt. Fairly simple in the construction. It is a circular yoke, but it's got kind of a cool spiral increase versus the usual more randomly placed increases. And one of the things that does is create sort of a swingy silhouette in the back where there's quite a bit of extra fabric here that gives it this really nice, almost a gathered effect, but quite subtle, but it's really nice to move in. It feels really easy without having a lot of ease, as we say, or a lot of oversizedness in the bust where it fits quite straight in the front. What's difficult and hopefully a little bit special about this pattern is the edging. So you can see here on the neck, can I get you to see on the neck? There we go. There is a herringbone pattern that's knit on absolutely tiny needles, US 2s. I mean, it's not that tiny, but 2.75 millimeter needles, where for 12 rows you're working this sort of garter style herringbone with a 2-color stripe. And it gives this really cool texture and a very, very firm fabric. And that's part of what's holding this construction together and making sort of this element possible is the sort of non-stretchiness of this neckline. So I had quite a big test on this. Lots of people did it and everyone agreed it sucks knitting that. It's really not a lot of fun. I know that. I was originally planning to do a much deeper collar, and once I got knitting it, I thought, hell no, 12 rows, that's it. That's all I can take. And then you go back to doing this nice easy breezy stockinette. It's really fun. Basically, when you come to the sleeves, there's no additional length on the sleeves. Once you've put these aside, you come back and you do this same herringbone pattern on much fewer stitches, but now in the round. So it's a little bit different than it is flat up here. So I like that. It kind of gives you just a little bit of a kick in the butt right at the end as you're finishing up. One of the things that kind of came up in the testing for this pattern is that I already knew that the armband, sort of being this unflexible, not very stretchy fabric, was potentially going to be a fit issue. So I had already sort of said to all my testers, don't necessarily pick a size based on the bust size, but pick a size based on the armband. Because like I said, it is pretty swingy. It's not, a couple inches here is not going to make a big difference. But even with that, I think that there was some confusion. People weren't sure how to split that difference between the bust and the armband. So by the end of the test, what I had decided to do was actually write 2 armband sizes for every bust size. So there's 7 bust sizes and then an additional 7 more armband sizes, which I guess officially makes this 14 sizes available. But it really allows you to sort of figure out how you want to wear that and how tight you're willing to go. It does loosen up a little bit with wear, but I still think it's really important to make sure that this is going to fit and be comfortable. It would suck to get through all of this and then not like this. Although, what is cool is that you do this little increase here before you start this. So even if you get there and you've chosen armband size 1 and then you knit armband size 1 and it's too tight, you don't have to rip the whole thing. You just have to go back to where you made that little increase and change that rate, and you can make a larger armband. So yeah, this guy's called Monarri, Monarri, and it's named for a character in a young adult novel that I adored called Strandia. It was by a Canadian author named Susan Lynn Reynolds, and it seems to be out of print, which is too bad. It was great. Definitely, it was like sort of about a beautiful island and girls who could communicate with dolphins. Yeah, it was right up my 12-year-old alley. So yeah, that's the name of this pattern. And I've knit it in Sweet Georgia's Flax and Silk Fine, which is a beautiful blend of linen and silk. I love the idea of knitting with linen, but I'm not good at it. Every time I buy linen and start working with it after 2 rows, I'm like, I'm out, and I ball it up and I give it to my friend Mona, who loves working with linen. But this was a yarn that I really got into working with. I loved it. It was easy on the hands. It's an incredibly beautiful drape. And of course, Sweet Georgia's colors are right up my alley. Like super bright, jewel tones, incredibly pure, crisp color, which I love. So yeah, that is Monarri, and it's available on Ravelry and on Love Knitting right now. Oh no, it's not up on Love Knitting yet. It will be next week. So after the 14th of June, I will add it to Love Knitting. So my other new release, I don't have a sample for because it's off with the lovely people of Pom Pom magazine. So my pattern in the summer 2019 issue, which is issue 29 of Pom Pom magazine, is called Sanctuary. And it's right here. I'm trying to get a nice clear photo for you. And it's also a top-down circular yoke construction. But quite different from this in the sense that it has almost no neckline. It's like you cast on and you're in, boom, you start. And it's a sort of undulating waves pattern. So a lot of the increasing in the yoke is sort of built right into the shaping, which was complicated for math-wise, but worth the effort. I think the effect's really gorgeous. Definitely a pattern that's designed to be worn with some ease, although this is part of where I got thinking about this is sort of wanted to give you guys a little bit of insight into what happens behind the scenes. So I sent my submission to Pom Pom, my idea. I have a sketch and I have a swatch that I've knit and some ideas of how I think it fits into their theme. And then they came back to me and said, yeah, we like it. We would like to do it. Here's the, this is the color we'd like you to knit it in. This is the yarn. It ended up being the yarn I had chosen, which was BC Garn's BioBalance, which is a blend of organic cotton and organic wool. So lovely. That's great. And then they have sort of some ideas of what that size range should look like. And they say, knit this size. That's the size we want because we're going to hire a model of about X size, whatever. But this is all happening like a year out from this, almost. So lo and behold, whatever. So I make my sample, I send it in, I write the pattern, I get the tech edit, we do all of that work, and then they do a photo shoot. And they send me back sort of the tech edited laid out pattern and say, can you check this over for anything you might see? So I found a few things, but one of the main things I found is that the model that they hired, the beautiful Selena Cindy, who's models a number of the designs in here, has a smaller bust, stated bust, than what we had originally talked about. So again, this goes to the idea that ease is flexible. Even though I designed it maybe to fit someone with more of a 34-inch bust, she has a 32-inch bust, she looks great in it. So yeah, she looks great in it, and there's nothing wrong with this ease having changed, but we did make a note to actually change the ease recommendation as written down in the pattern so that it matched the photography. So I guess the reason I'm telling you this is to really encourage you to not feel locked into the ease that's recommended in a pattern or the ease with which something is photographed. It may not even have specifically been designed to fit that way. There is flexibility, and you are in charge of how you want your clothes to fit. Anyway, it's been super exciting watching people start to cast on the Sanctuary tee. I'm following along on Instagram, and also Pom Pom has a Ravelry group with a knit-along, a summer knit-along. There's a few people in there who are doing it, so I've been making sure to go and check in and see how it's all going. It's super exciting. I'm really, really thrilled to be part of this issue, and I definitely have a few ideas of things from this issue that I'd like to knit, especially the earthen cardigan I think is super gorgeous. I can see myself wearing that, and I also love Sari Nordland's tank top that's in here called the OG. Okay, so that's what I have out at the moment, but I'll show you some stuff I have on my needles. So this is a turtleneck sweater in progress, worked in Spin Cycles Dyed in the Wool, which is this amazing sort of color-changing yarn from Kate Burge and Rachel Price, two dyers who have created this amazing brand. It's almost sort of mimics handspun yarn. It's really cool. And as soon as I saw this colorway, which is called Stay Ready, it put me in mind of sort of 60s and 70s ceramics. So I went off and found this gold, mustardy gold color, which apparently is like where I am right now. This is Durerum Natura, a yarn called Ulysse, a really nice French brand, merino, both sport weight. And yeah, obviously this is getting close. I'm gonna finish up the body and start working on the sleeves. And this is definitely going outside the box as far as what kind of fits are in right now. It's no ease to negative ease. It has waist shaping, and it's gonna be a slim fit. I'm definitely looking to the 70s for my inspiration on this silhouette. And it's a little bit of an ungradable monster. There is like built-in waist shaping in the color work, so that means that, you know, obviously from size to size I have some different charts and some different calculations to do, but I think the effect is worth it. So that's going on. And then, where did I put it? Here. My other habit, you know, looking at the Sweet Vicious, right, is to buy mohair in these sort of like very light tones. So this is Tanis Fiber Arts mohair in crystal, paired with Urso Yarns Nu, which has a really similar tone to it, but isn't quite as speckly as Tanis's yarn. I am working some one color brioche because I decided that maybe I should master that before I start working with two color brioche. And this is going to be a sweater. I know it's hard to tell right now, but believe it or not, this is the beginnings of a sweater. But I don't know when it's going to be done, and I'm sort of trying to take it really easy on myself a little bit with design. I've been having some issues occasionally with arm pain, and you know, I want to be in this for the long haul, so I think taking it easy now means that I have many years ahead. That's a good idea. So anyways, I think that's it. I'm about to go away for a road trip for some summer times. So I don't know, how active I'll be. Who am I kidding? As soon as I have service, I'm going to be all over the internet. So anyway, hope to see you guys over on Instagram. I'm going to flash up all my contacts where you can find me on the net. And if this is your first time tuning in, hi, welcome. And if you've watched before and have been waiting for 2 months for me, I appreciate that. And I'll try to podcast a little more often in the future. Okay, thanks again. Bye.